Hi everyone, and welcome to the tutorial. Today I will be demonstrating how to work a traditional bind off. This is a really easy way to finish off your knitting and is also one of the most commonly used bind off methods. Generally, if a pattern asks you to bind off without specifying exactly which one it wants you to use, this is the one to go with. So to work this method, all you need to do is work the next stitch in pattern as established. The next step is to also work the next stitch in pattern as established, which means you'll now have 2 stitches on your right hand needle, and you pass the first work stitch on the right hand needle over the last, which binds off a stitch. So let's see what that looks like. I'm just working in garter stitch, so all I'm going to do is knit each of these stitches to transfer it to my right hand needle. If you're working in rib or another texture pattern and you want to bind off in pattern, you want to make sure that as you work each of these stitches, the patterning is consistent with what you've been using. So, to do the bind off, I work the next stitch. So I'm just going to knit it as per normal. Step 2 is to work the next stitch, which is now this stitch. So also knit it as normal. And then I take my left hand needle tip, insert it into the first work stitch on the right hand needle and bring it up and over the last work stitch to bind it off. So I bound off 1 stitch there. To repeat, work the next stitch and then pass the first work stitch on the right hand needle over the last. So there I've bound off 2 stitches. You'll see it's quite neat, and it just produces this little row of V's along your bind off. So we'll just do that once more. Work next stitch in pattern as established, and then this is the first work stitch on the right hand needle. Bring it up and over the last work stitch. So there I've bound off 4 stitches. If I was completely finishing off my work, I might need to bind off all stitches, so I just continue working that until I have worked all the stitches off of the left hand needle and there's just 1 stitch left on my right hand needle. I would then pull that stitch nice and wide, draw my yarn through, and then cut the yarn to secure. I could also be using this technique in the middle of a pattern, so I may need to just partially bind off some stitches and then continue working across the next of my stitches as normal. So to do that, all you would do is just as you would work your stitches normally once you finish the bind off. So that's the traditional bind off method. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, do leave them below.